Okie dokie boys and girls, it is day 296 of bulking to 75 kilos with calisthenics only, and today we have a pulling day. Now, a lot of people are asking how the hell I'm able to train every day on top of running every day, and the answer is quite simple. There are multiple ways that I use sometimes to make my training light, even though it seems like I'm going to the max. So for example, yesterday I had a set of push-ups going to the max, maybe even multiple, right? Today I will have a set of pull-ups going to the max, but depending on how you do those sets, depending on how you manage your workouts, the workouts will actually be lighter than what you are usually doing. So for example, yesterday I made the exercise more difficult because that way I wouldn't be able to push myself as far as I usually do in the endurance workout. I would be tired more quickly, doing less volume, resulting in better recovery. Today, what I'm gonna do is, yes, I'm gonna go to my max, but I'm gonna control the reps more. So I'm not gonna use momentum and stuff like that. And basically that's gonna force me to not be able to push myself as much, or I will be able to push myself to the limit, but automatically by doing things controlled, I'll be having a bit more reps in reserve at the end, or a bit more energy in reserve at the end, resulting in better recovery. And yes, I train every day, and almost every day I do something to the max, but by managing the volume, by managing the way I go to the max, I can allow my body to recover for when I have actually big sessions coming up. So I have a big leg day session coming up on Sunday. I want to make sure that I'm recovered because the last few trainings have been very hard. I have been going very hard with lots of volume and lots of intensity. So now I want to do a couple of sessions where, there will be sets to the max, but the volume will be managed more, and the way I go to the max will also be managed more. So that's how I kind of allow myself to recover, And maybe one more thing that's important there is, basically you can tell that you're doing too much if you feel more tired than the day before consistently, day in, day out. So let's say that on Monday I was feeling kind of tired, and then on Tuesday I was feeling even more tired, and on Wednesday even more tired. That would mean that I'm doing too much. But, I was building up a lot of exhaustion in my body from the last couple sessions, and then yesterday I did a bit of a smaller session. Today I feel less tired. Today I'm gonna do a small session, Tomorrow I will feel even less tired, and that's gonna go on until the big session on Sunday. So yeah, that's how I manage to train every day. So if you love training, it's a very good thing to learn how to do, on how to train hard without going hard on your recovery, basically. But let's do a warm-up set here, and then we can go on to the session of today. That's feeling comically light. Even though my back end stuff is still tired, these pull-ups are feeling lighter and lighter. So today, as you will probably notice from the warm-up set, I'm doing a front lever pull-up workout. I'm gonna focus on 5 sets of 12 reps. I'm gonna try and focus on form. I don't think I'm gonna add extra weight. I might give in to the temptation, but only if I know that I'm gonna be able to do it in quite good form, because I want to use as less momentum as possible, or the least amount of momentum possible, so that basically I'm not forcing myself into these super hard sets that I'm actually not able to handle yet. And that will, allow me to recover afterwards. But let's get some chalk on and get going on the pull-up sets. Okay, I played around with some sideways wide pull-ups. I think I'm gonna do one more set of that. You know, it's a light day, so I can just focus on some new stuff, try to control it, and basically play around, you know. That's actually quite important, you know, when you have the Master Roshi way of training, you know, train hard, work hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty. That's 4 things, but in the Japanese version, you have a 5th one in the middle, which is play as well, you know, you have to play a bit as well, you have to have some fun. One more set. Holy fuck. Alright, so that's it for the front lever. Right now I'm gonna move on to some normal pull-ups. 1 pull-up set to the max, and there's 2 reasons why this will not make me very tired tomorrow. Now, the first reason is I'm using manageable weight. You know, it's a weighted pull-up. I have 20 kilos on my weight belt right here. So 20 kilos, okay, it's some weight, but it's also a weight that I can comfortably do some reps with. If I'm fresh, probably like over 20, maybe even 25. So it's kind of lightweight, baby, if you get that reference. I'm sorry. But yeah, second reason being, I'm going to control my tempo, you know. Controlled reps, it doesn't have to be going slowly down and slowly up. You can also control your tempo, which is what I'm gonna do. I have a 30 BPM video playing here, or I'm gonna play it. BPM meaning beats per minute, so that's gonna be 1 beat every 2 seconds, which is 30 in 1 minute. So every 2 seconds there's gonna be this kind of sound. On the sound I'm gonna go up and hold it, and go down and hold it. So this will make the reps feel very hard, and I'm not gonna use momentum, or it's gonna force me to really not be able to use that much momentum. And that's why this set, even though I'm gonna try my hardest and go to my max until failure, it's, you know, I'm using all of these restrictions, you know, I'm using all of these handicaps on myself to basically put me at a disadvantage to where I cannot exert all of the power that I have within my body. So let's go. Alright, fuck. That's it. 11 reps with baby weight. So, you know, I did go to my absolute max. I couldn't have done another rep, but at the same time, if I were to, you know, use momentum and try to spam some pull-ups right now, I still could, but I'm not gonna, you know. I'm gonna recover. I'm deloading, kind of deloading for my my big session on Sunday on the legs. But this is how you can train, you know, train to your max and still recover. So yeah, that's it for today's workout. Okie dokie, so that's it for today's training, and I'm quite happy with how it went, you know. It certainly wasn't a bad training. I got to play around with new types of front lever pull-ups. I got to play around with new types of normal pull-ups, to be honest, because I barely ever do controlled reps, but you know, this was quite fun, you know. I had to recover, so I had to make sure that my workout was lighter, but of course, like every day, I want to max out somewhere, and by doing these controlled reps, I'm able to recover and max out. It's like the best of both worlds. Of course, you know, if I have the energy, if I don't have to deload, I prefer just horse cocking. That's just like, you know, just hammering reps and going for as much reps as possible, not really caring about control. That's the way I prefer to train. But, you know, both ways, just like using a bit of momentum, using uncontrolled reps, and, you know, the controlled reps, they both have their benefits. And today, you know, I used the benefits of the controlled reps to my advantage. And it's certainly not a bad thing to have lighter workouts. It's certainly not a bad thing to have rest days even. Yes, I train every day, but that's just something that's important to me, because I want to make myself realize that no matter how tired you are, you can always do something. But, you know, if you don't particularly care about that, you can just take rest days. Like, it's fine. But if you're serious about your training, you do have to realize when you take your rest day or when you take your light day, is there a purpose to it, you know? Are you taking that rest day? Are you taking a lighter day because there's a greater purpose? Are you doing a heavy session afterwards? Are you recovering from a heavy session that you previously did? Or are you just taking the rest day because you feel like it? Because today, you know, some bad stuff happened, things didn't go your way, and you're a bit tired mentally, right? When you take your rest day, and of course this is if you're serious about your training, serious about making progress, ask yourself, you know, is taking a rest day, is taking a light day, is that the most beneficial to the goals I have at the moment? Because yesterday I did a lighter workout, right? But I asked myself, like, okay, what is the best option here? Should I just do completely nothing? Should I just hammer myself all the way even though I'm tired? Both of those options are worse compared to just doing a lighter session, right? Today is the same as well. So you just have to ask yourself, like, if you're serious about your training, what is the best thing that I can do to reach my goals? Let's say you want to planche. Should I train planche today, or should I recover? Which is going to get me to the planche the fastest, the most efficient, right? And if the answer to that question is to just completely take a day off, then take a day off. But do realize that, you know, sometimes your mind is going to play tricks on you to tempt you into a rest day even though you don't need it. But yeah, that's it for today's training. Very happy with how it went. I'm gonna have some dinner and see you tomorrow for leg day. But it's gonna be, like today, it's gonna be a less intense one.